Hey, they're live from the Loft 100 studios in suddenly sunny San Diego, California.
Amazing.
110 million TV homes strong, 150 radio stations in 175 countries, thanks to BizTV, BizTalk Radio Network, American Forces Network. Big Biz Show's on there. Sully here, Costa there, the Sully Band there. Good to see you guys today. Yes, we are radio and television at the same time. I had a radio audience member email me last week saying, where can we watch you? We listened to you on K News in Las Vegas, AM 970. And I said, well, just go to bigbizshow.com and click on the BizTV logo there, and that'll take you where all of our affiliates are. We're on the air somewhere 24 hours a day.
Yep.
I mean, because of the replays and everything else. And when I wake up in the morning, you know, sometimes at 4:30 to do radio locally, I'll say, hey, great interview with Lior Tal. And I was like, I didn't interview him. Apparently I did. We got an email from one of you folks about this next company. It's called VaxArt. Have you heard of the Norovirus? I beg your pardon, Norovirus. Have you heard of this horrible disease?
No.
This disease is one of those, imagine having a 4-day gin hangover after eating, after your bachelor party in Tijuana where you had nothing but Mexican food for 3 days.
Oh.
Okay, what would happen directly thereafter? Sorry for the analogy, kids, but that is what Norovirus feels like.
None of it good.
No, none of it good. And I will tell you, it's one of those, and I joke about this, but the ability to create a vaccine against norovirus or a therapy to deal with it is actually more important than you anticipate because of the addressable market for that, the folks that suffer from it. Andrei Floroiu is the CEO of a company called VaxArt. VaxArt is a publicly traded company under the stock symbol VXRT. You can go to VaxArt.com, and guess what? He joins us now via Zoom here. Andrei, great to have you along. I hate to be so graphic about it, but I don't think there's a better analogy because I've met people and I have a family member that suffered from it. It is a horrible disease.
Totally. And you described it very well, so I'm not going to go there anymore.
I don't think you need to. I think we've...
Yes.
The visual works.
But talk about... you guys have emphasized the development of a norovirus candidate here. Talk about what the therapy is. I mean, is it a vaccine? Is it just a therapy? I shouldn't say just a therapy. Is it a medicine that you're trying to resolve? Or are we trying to get vaccinated against this horrible disease?
No, we are developing a vaccine. So it's a vaccine. One of the things that sets us apart is that, you know, most of your viewers would recognize vaccines as looking like this, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. So our vaccines, they all look like this.
That's an oral vaccine.
It's an oral vaccine. It's also a pill. So it's an oral tablet or oral pill.
Got it.
Much easier to distribute, much easier to take, no pain, etc. And for norovirus in particular, it so happens that our oral tablet vaccines, they go into your gut, and that's where they get activated. They activate your mucosal immunity, and that's exactly where norovirus infects people.
If I'm not mistaken, when I was reading about you folks this morning, 20-some-odd million, 21 million people suffer from this each year, and in the U.S., something like $10 billion annually. Of what's called a disease burden, and that's lost productivity as well as work days, as well as quality of life and everything else. Just explain those numbers to us a little bit.
Totally. So, you know, what your viewers should do is what I've done when I first got introduced to the disease a few years ago. So just Google norovirus, and you'll be surprised how many press articles pop up and people talking about norovirus resurgence in various states here in the U.S. And this, it's called traveler's diarrhia, even though it doesn't affect just travelers. Sorry, I misspoke. It's known as a traveler's disease. I think they call it stomach flu, but it's not a flu, right? And it affects. It's known as affecting people that congregate together. So it affects people that travel on cruise ships, for example.
We call it Costa's revenge here in the studio. And boy, as simple as a Subway sandwich after a long weekend, and you'll see. But you talk about it affecting groups of people gathering, and I can't help but start talking about COVID. And I know you guys are in the process and have been in the process of a COVID-19 vaccine. But talk about the similarities about the two diseases.
Well, I'll talk about the similarities and also the differences. So the similarities are that they are infectious diseases, but COVID is airborne, and norovirus is mostly transmitted through touching things that are infected or have been touched by people that have been infected.
Sure.
And COVID is something that showed up all of a sudden. We saw a few spikes, and now we're not sure where COVID is gonna go. Whereas norovirus is something that's been with us for a while. We expect it to be here for a while. And the other differences are who is mostly impacted by norovirus. You said 21 million cases annually in the US, and that's correct. But it affects a lot children below the age of 5. So whoever is a parent out there with kids below the age of 5 years old, 15% of them are infected every year, and they have 3 or more days of very severe diarrhea, sometimes vomiting. And the problem is that you have to pull them out of kindergarten or wherever they go. They usually are going to infect 1 or 2 parents. You need to take time off, stay with them. You're also going to get it. So it's pretty nasty, right? And
that's the disease burden. That's the $10 billion in disease burden that this disease causes. By the way, his name is Andrei Floroiu, and CEO of VaxArt and Corte. They are publicly traded, VXRT. I got a question for you. How close are we to this? Where are you in the arc of the story with respect to the FDA?
So we are now in the process of conducting 2 phase 2 trials. One of them is going to read out mid-year. The other one is going to read out in the 3rd quarter. And we mentioned that sometime next year we expect to have what's called a post-phase 2 meeting with the FDA to discuss the phase 3 trial, which may also start next year.
Here's the bottom line. For you, it's got to be an exciting time for you, because if you look at that chart, you're getting down the field pretty rapidly. Anticipation of compassionate treatment coming up here next, isn't that sort of the next box you check off right before you can go to the human trials and such?
Yeah, I don't know. Usually that's typical for diseases that have a very, very high mortality rate. For norovirus,
yeah, but this is a quality of life disease. It's as important. It really surprises me that there isn't more of a push for that.
Well, we'll see. We'll talk to the regulators when the time comes. I can't speak for them, but let's explore that. We haven't explored that.
Hey, listen, Andrei, I want to have you back. We're out of time right now, but will you come back on the air with us? Obviously, this is something that I want to continue talking about. His name is Andrei Floroiu, CEO of a company called VaxArt, VXRT, otherwise known as Costa's Revenge. I don't mean to joke about it, but Costa's going to have a couple of those bubble packs in case of a bad hangover, hoping the symptoms will be covered either way. I need a cork! Big Biz Show. See you in a minute.